When today we will study about the radiation physics. Many questions asked in NEET, AIIMS, PGI exams based on the radiation physics. Let's study about it. Today on 8th November is the World Radiology Day. X-rays were discovered on the 8th November 1895 by the German scientist Wilhelm Röntgen. So here's the diagram of X-ray tube, in which this is the cathode and this is the anode. From cathode, the photons are transmitted in the form of a cathode ray to the anode, and from anode, when photons strike to the tungsten, the anode leaf is made up of tungsten, and when the tungsten atom is struck by the photon, it produces the X-ray. We will study about the various processes and the physics happens behind this whole tube in detail. Let's study about it. Cathode is made up of tungsten filament, which is placed between the molybdenum focusing cusp. This focusing cusp is negatively charged and converts the electron ejected from the tungsten filament. Converts the electron which strike at the focal spot on the tungsten target. This anode, also made up of tungsten target embedded in the copper stem, which help in the dissipation of the heat. Then X-ray produced from the tungsten target is out of the tube window. Question asked in exam about the anode is positively charged and cathode is negatively charged. The filament is made up of tungsten filament mixed with 1% of the thorium, which help in ejecting the electron, increase the electron ejection when the filament is heated. The focusing cusp is molybdenum help to converge the ejected electron. The anode is 20 degree angulated. Question may ask in exam why the anode is 20 degree angulated. Question may ask in exam why the anode is 20 degree angulated, because it because the focal spot is rectangular in dimension of 3 and 1. The 20 degree angulation decrease it to 1 by 1 in apparent, but it actually a 3-1 in dissipation of heat. Why apparently it decrease the why we apparently decrease our area? Because the focal spot is decreased, the more number of more intensity of the electron strikes to this area, and the more valuable useful X-ray beam is produced. The less the area struck by the cathode ray, the more the beam is produced from this ray, but the larger area, the remaining area helps in heat dissipation. That's why without decreasing the actual area, we decrease the focal spot. You can see here the real photograph of the X-ray tube, where it is the cathode and the anode is there. More closer picture of the cathode, where you can see filament in between, and this is the focusing cup converging the cathode rays. This is the real pic of the anode, where the tungsten filament is between, and this is the copper stem, which helps in dissipation of the heat. Why tungsten is used? Because it has a high atomic number, allow for efficient X-ray production. It also has high melting point, withstand the heat produced during X-ray production. It also has high thermal conductivity to dissipate the heat produced away from the target. It also has low vapor pressure at the working temperature of an X-ray tube to help maintain vacuum in the tube at high operating temperature. In exam also ask about the rotatory anode. Why rotatory anode is used? Because there is a much larger area when rotate the anode. If one time this area is focused, another time this area is focused, which will reduce the high temperature and help in dissipation of the heat. When this area is used, this will cool down and help, so the heat is distributed. There is no area stress for the heat. Let's study about the Bremsstrahlung radiation. Radiation is produced by two methods, Bremsstrahlung and the characteristic radiations. Let's first study about the Bremsstrahlung radiation. In this, and photons strike near the nucleus, this is the nucleus, near the nucleus or pass from it. In the first diagram, we will see it path from near the nucleus so that its pathway is deflected and some energy is lost in the form of X-ray. This photon is decelerated and deviated from its path and some energy is produced in the form of the X-ray. In the second we see it is a direct hit to the nucleus. The photon is dead and the energy is released in the form of X-ray. So this photon is or diminished or die or disappear, and all the energy of this photon is converted into the X-ray. Let's study about this graph. May ask in exam the wide area for the Bremsstrahlung radiation. Why this area is for the Bremsstrahlung radiation? There is some of the reasons. In the X-ray tube, KVP, that is potential difference, may change, which produces the different type of photon energies. These different energies, when producing the X-ray by through the Bremsstrahlung radiation, is also may vary. That's why the variation is seen. The another reason is that when photons strike to an atom, it may strike to the different sides. Sometimes it directly hit on the nucleus and produce the highest energy X-ray. When it near miss, it may deflect and produce the lower energy X-ray. Therefore, this variation is also appear due to this reason. Another reason is that when a photon near miss from the nucleus, it may get deflect and strike to the another atom till the whole energy of the photon converted into the X-ray. So therefore the different energy is produced from the different atom. Why this characteristic radiation is seen in this graph? The question may ask. Because when when a cathode ray is fired on the tungsten atom, it may strike to the electron and the electron may eject out. This vacancy is created and void is created. This void is filled by the higher orbital electron. When higher orbital electron goes to the lower orbital electron, the energy is released in the form of characteristic radiation because of their difference in the binding energy. The difference in binding energy that energy is the characteristic radiation. This vacancy is also filled by the higher electron and the radiation is produced. Let's talk about in detail about the characteristic radiation. In this, when the photon is strike, an electron is ejected out from the lower orbital and the vacancy is created. This void or vacancy is filled by the higher orbital electron. This higher orbital electron goes to the lower orbital electron and the difference in their binding energy. This difference in binding energy release the energy extra energy. This energy is called the characteristic radiation. And further, this void is also filled up by the higher orbital electrons. So this is the characteristic radiation because it is in this the void is created and the energy is released from the filling of the void by the outer orbital, and the outer orbital when goes to the inner orbital, radiation is ejected out, which is equal to difference in their binding energy, and this is the characteristic of their specific orbitals and their binding energy difference. So this is all about today. In the next video we will see the interaction in the human body of the x-rays on in the tissues. So like, subscribe and share for more and more videos.